Guys, it hasn't even been a week yet, but on Friday night, we got another chilling sign that Trump 2.0 will be much more ruthless in rooting out really any sort of accountability. I mean, Donald Trump fired 18 inspectors general across the government in a late-night mass purge. It included IGs from the Departments of Defense, State, Labor, and HHS. And like a number of things that happened this week, it's not clear how this is even legal. Under the Inspector General Act passed by Congress in 2022, the White House is required to give Congress 30 days notice of its intent to fire IGs, which obviously did not happen here. When asked about the firings last night on Air Force One, Trump told reporters, quote, "Well, I did it because it's a very common thing to do. Not all of them, like Horowitz, we're keeping." No, Mr. President, it's actually not common at all. And in that answer, Trump was referring to Michael Horowitz, the DOJ Inspector General. You might remember he was appointed by Barack Obama. He's one of two IGs who was spared. And if his name sounds familiar, it's because he was also the IG who cast doubt on the origins of the Russia investigation, which Trump even acknowledged last night to reporters, saying, quote, "Michael Horowitz wrote the definitive report on James Comey and the FBI. He really got that going." So if you do something for Trump, you get to keep your job, I guess. As he told reporters, quote, "We'll put people in who would be very good." Well, we think we know what that means. Joining me now is Norm Eisen, the former White House chief ethics lawyer under President Obama. He's now co-founder of The Contrarian, which has come out with a boom. People haven't subscribed, they should. Okay, Norm, there's a lot I want to ask you about. But first of all, can any president just legally fire inspector generals? What are the confines of the law?
Jen, Donald Trump promised to be a dictator on day one, and he's carried that forward through the entire week, including this midnight firing of the IGs. This is a country of laws, not of dictatorial leaders.
So if he gave them 30 days, could he just fire them, or it's more than that?
He has to give them 30 days, and he has to give Congress reasons. So this is of a piece. He claims there's no birthright citizenship for American people. He flouted the Constitution. Here he's flouting the statute. He's testing and pushing the limits. I agree with him on one thing. Yes, it's a common thing to do in a dictatorship, not in the United States of America.
So we were just talking about this before we came on air, is that some of them are reportedly going to show up on Monday. You're a very good lawyer, an ethics expert. What advice would you give them?
I would advise them to do exactly that, not just as a lawyer, because their positions are protected by the rule of law, by this statute, but in defense of our democracy. Nobody should just roll over for Donald Trump's dictatorial decrees. Over and over again this week, he flouted the Constitution and the laws. We have to push back. So the SIGI, the Council of the IGs, including the letter was signed by one of those fired. They sent a letter back to Donald Trump politely saying these firings are illegal and suggesting they'll show up for work. Good for them.
Good. I say good for them, too. So we've been talking about this, but I'm very mindful in this age not to talk past people. IGs, people who have never heard of them, a lot of people watching probably have, but have never heard some of these names. Why does it matter that they're there? Why is it so alarming that they're fired?
The law of the United States is to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse, and to make government do the things that Donald Trump claims he wants it to do. Effective and efficient governance. We have independent inspectors general. That's what IG stands for. They're in every government agency, and they're there not to be beholden to the president.
Of either party.
Of either party. Many of these people fired were Trump appointees. Yeah. They're there to make sure that the public interest is served, and your and my tax dollars are actually going to help us. So this is a nakedly illegal action because Donald Trump doesn't want that oversight.
No kidding. One of the things that I think is concerning is this sort of trend that you've been talking about here. We've already seen in the first week the firing of these IGs, the lack of having any oversight. It feels sometimes like there aren't protections still in the system. Or what are the protections still that people can rely on right now?
Well, the courts are a guardrail, and I was very proud at the Democracy Defenders, my nonpartisan nonprofit organization, to be part of the coalition that filed those birthright cases across the country. We filed with the ACLU, LULAC, the Hispanic group, and Asian American Civil Rights groups in New Hampshire. One of the groups over on the West Coast in Washington got an injunction. Donald Trump, you can't do these things. Then you see that letter from the inspectors general saying, hey, you don't have the power to do this. We're going to show up at work anyhow. So the story of this week, other lawsuits were filed at Democracy Defenders. We filed one against Donald Trump's organization, the Doge, with Elon Musk, putting a billionaire, Jen, in charge of government decisions that profoundly impact his businesses? No. So you're seeing this pushback. We don't know which way it'll go, but the story of this week was the story illegal, unconstitutional acts by Donald Trump, pushback by the rule of law and the American people.
The second part is so important, and we will keep talking about it, hopefully with you more. Norm Eisen, thank you so much. I always love seeing you.